This is Data Citizens Dialogues, your guide to bringing trust to your data, decisions, and all things AI. For Collibra, I'm Thomas Brence. Hello, and welcome to another episode of Data Citizens Dialogues. This is your one-stop shop for all of the latest customer stories from Collibra's customer community. And I am your host, Thomas Brence, the head of portfolio marketing here at Collibra. And today we have a fun podcast for you. Just a few weeks ago in New York, I was joined by Josh Cohen live from our product premiere event. Josh and I stepped away from the main event and went into the podcast booth to have a discussion and talk about data governance. I love when we get to do these podcasts live instead of from the home office. I think it adds something to the conversation. So let's listen in and see if you agree.
I'm a data engineer manager for Arvest. I've been with the bank for about 1.5 years now. Prior to that, I worked for Paylocity, which is a human resource software firm. Before that, I spent about 8 years with a startup in New York City, and we were monetizing medical lab data, looking for patients who would respond well to certain pharmaceuticals.
Very cool. Now, our day-to-day has been very interesting. We just came back from the Collibra product premiere. Big shout out if you're listening. Hopefully you register for the October product premiere, but here we are in June. And it just kind of leads me to my first question. Tell me a little bit about your day-to-day life and maybe how you tie to the bank's data strategy.
Sure. So data engineering at Arvest is focused on building out a data warehouse, the Arvest data platform. My team is working on our data quality, data observability strategy. That's all based in Collibra. We took over Collibra from the data governance team. Prior to that, we've been a customer of Collibra for about 3 years. The data governance team owned the software up until then. They had a strategy of loading in as much data as they could find and cataloging it and getting it in there, but they weren't really tied to a use case. So we had a need of giving our data consumers confidence that the data they have is accurate, correct, that they could rely on it. So we moved the Collibra application over to data engineering with a real focus on aligning that to our use case of the data warehouse. And we've built out like really specific use cases focused on primarily like our finance team, our performance management team, getting them comfortable with the data so that they can start to switch over their reporting over to the data warehouse.
So tell me a little bit about that. How did it kick off and what was the original use case around a data warehouse?
Yeah, so we have data all over multiple SQL databases. We have it in SaaS software, and it's just really disparate and spread all over the place. So the idea is that if we can get it in one place, it makes reporting a lot easier, making new data products available to our clients, and internally making reporting a lot easier for everyone. So.
I can really tell the volume of data that you must have been dealing with at the time. That's certainly a challenge. How about the challenge around finding out if data could be reliable? Talk to me a little bit about data trust or data quality.
Yeah, so our data consumers, we could call it, were originally suspicious of the data. They didn't trust it that it was matching the source system. They didn't trust that we had the complete data, and they're not ready to start running financials off of that kind of data until you get a full confidence rating there.
Yeah, I want to go back to one of the other things that you said earlier too about, so you started with Collibra 3 years ago, is with the data governance team. Then you made a really interesting pivot from data governance to the data engineering team. When it comes to your Collibra install, what sort of went into that decision?
Yeah, so I didn't transition over the application. We took that and transitioned that over to data engineering. We took a couple of the associates that were originally with the data governance team. They had a lot of experience with the application and getting it installed. We brought them over to data engineering with the application, and we were really focused on just getting a foundation established there. So we've been clients of Collibra Data Quality also for this entire time. That application had only been installed in our development environment. It hadn't made it to production yet. They were struggling to get approvals and get that through. So we really focused on getting it installed, getting the right approvals, getting the connections we needed to the different databases so that we could start comparing our source and targets and get that project moving.
Very cool. I can imagine, we talked about some of the data challenges you faced and some of the, nuances of the account, but what are some of the key lessons you had about driving adoption, especially with your technical team?
Yeah, so our team is really fully focused on Collibra. We have about 5 people, I think, fully dedicated to the catalog and the CDQ applications. So they're on board. It's getting everyone else on board is really more of a governance and a people problem.
Sure.
And that's why we've been really focused on use cases and making sure that what we're building is valuable, helps people out in their day-to-day life. And we've seen that we're actually getting good adoption of the catalog within our own team because we have to understand lineage, we have to understand what the data is in order to build out smart data quality rules. And even just being able to identify business rules, business logic, we have to have good governance in place with who's the data owner, who do we talk to figure this stuff out, who do we have to involve to make sure that we're identifying the right critical data elements. So yeah, it's all tied together, the governance, people, and technology.
Absolutely. Yeah, the people in particular is really interesting, and the way I think in general people react to change. How do you share maybe a few best practices around change management? How did you work through that with your team?
Yeah, so you really need a top-down approach to some of this. If you go to people and say, hey, you're now a data steward, we need you to catalog all this data and define, help us define what all these fields are. No one has time for that. So you need management to be on board. You need leadership to be on board, and they need to carve out time for people to work on it. I think that's one of the biggest things. And you need to be clear with your expectations when you bring something new to people. They have a lot of questions around it. It's extra work. They don't understand the value, and so you really need to make it clear what's the benefit here, why are they doing that, and what exactly do we need from them in order to get that accomplished.
And that top down doesn't ever hurt, right? Having somebody, got to force it down. That makes a lot of sense. What are some of the ways that you're addressing data quality?
So we are taking a one step at a time approach, right? It's a big elephant. So how do you get there? It's one bite at a time.
One bite at a time.
So the very most basic part we're working on is source to target validation, where we can confirm that we have all the records loaded, all the columns we need loaded, that matches the source system, that our keys are matching in the source and target system. And we can do all of that without having any involvement from a steward or any identification of critical data elements. That's just very, very basic stuff that we can keep making progress on without involving anyone else. So that's where we've started. We've been building that out to then we have specific reports we're looking at. We can identify all the critical data elements on those reports, and then we'll go and work with that specific business steward or data steward to catalog it, make sure it's there, and then we'll do some validations and business rules on those critical data elements.
What does success look like for you? Can you walk me through maybe a few of your success KPIs, especially as it ties to the lines of business like finance?
Yeah, I mean, for us, success is having other departments run their reports off the data warehouse. That's the ultimate goal, and that's what we're going for. And so success is really that's success is getting them on board with that. Yeah.
So using adoption as a metric. That's great.
Yeah. I mean, we have other metrics too, like number of tables that have rules on them, number of critical data elements. And we're actually just now in a process of identifying our KPIs so that what will be a little more rigorous and how we define our wins in that kind of a sense.
All right. What's the roadmap look like for maybe the next 1 to 2 years? And what are some of the milestones along that journey?
So our roadmap is getting finance on board with our data warehouse and getting them to be running their reports off of the data warehouse. That's what we're really focused on. 1 to 2 years out, we'll hopefully have a more robust alerting, monitoring program in place. We'll have better reporting in place, and just have a more robust data quality program overall.
Very cool. Well, how do you see technologies like AI or machine learning shaping data governance for the financial services industry?
AI has been helpful with profiling our existing data. Like you can move very quickly through it in that regard. For us too, what we're really focused on is cleaning up the data, getting it in better shape, so that we can start embracing those AI use cases. Right now, we don't have a great handle on the overall data quality, and you need to have clean quality data in order to build AI. So garbage in and garbage out.
Garbage in, garbage out. That's a great lesson learned or best practice for sure. But people, they listen to podcasts for all sorts of reasons. Maybe it's best practices, maybe it's lessons learned. And often, what we have found with data citizens dialogues especially, it's folks just kind of starting out with data governance. What are some of the lessons learned? If you could go back in time and give advice to yourself, what would you advise people to do first? And maybe a few things either that you're proud of or hiccups that you could have avoided.
Yeah, I've been through this journey a couple of times, and I think what's important is having use cases drive it. You can't just start governance without having a value prop. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of effort. You're taking people's time away from what they're seeing as their real job or their core functions, and you need to be able to justify that with leadership. So you need use cases. You need to identify who's going to be using the catalog, who are your stakeholders. Make sure you have a strategy on monitoring your status and being able to communicate that status as you work through your project, and come up with good KPIs to advocate for the success of your project. It's not just to measure for the sake of measurement or collect metadata for the sake of metadata. You need to be providing value.
Fantastic. I couldn't have said it better myself, Josh. Thank you so much for spending a little bit of time with us here on Data Citizens Dialogues. Really appreciate it. It's been tremendous.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
Thanks. All right. Josh was great, wasn't he? I love his stance on governance and the importance of data quality and really his pragmatic approach to both. Now, as always, I like to do this wrap up with the 3 big things that I learned during this session. First, focus on use cases. Josh emphasizes that successful data governance and quality initiatives must be driven by a specific use case to provide clear value and justify the effort that's involved. Without a defined value proposition, it's difficult to get buy-in from leadership and convince people to dedicate time to data-related tasks. Next, a top-down approach is really important when it comes to change management. Implementing new data strategies requires strong leadership support and a top-down approach. And Josh, he really explains that management needs to carve out time for employees to participate in data initiatives, as people don't often, say they take the extra time for what they perceive as additional work. Clearly communicating the benefits and expectations is crucial for successful adoption. And finally, start simple with data quality and build up. Arvest Bank began its data quality journey with basic source to target validation to confirm data completeness and accuracy. This foundational step allowed them to make progress without immediate involvement from data stewards, and they are gradually building out to more complex validations and business rules on critical data elements. Listeners, thanks for being with me here today. I hope you'll subscribe and join for our next episode. And for Collibra, this is Data Citizens Dialogues, and I'm Thomas Brence. Thanks for listening. Want even more insight into managing your data? Visit collibra.com/podcast for additional resources on the topics covered in our show. Be sure to follow us on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts so you never miss an episode. Enjoy what we have to share? How about a 5-star review? At Collibra, we absolutely appreciate your support. Data Citizens Dialogues is a production of Collibra in collaboration with Stories Bureau.